Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel, Ramz Educational Channel. Today guys, we're going to tackle or discuss about modal verbs. What is a modal verb? Remember class, when you talk about modal verbs, we're going to talk about first the definitions of what is all about. Remember my dear students, if you are new here to my channel, please don't forget to hit the notification bell icon so that you're updated on our latest video tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe it. Now, let's come first modal verbs. A modal verbs class are helping verbs that are used to express functions such as the ability, the permission, obligation, prohibitions, necessity, advised, possibility, and of course, the probability. So when we realize, class, that modal verbs is to express such as functions like these, but remember, these are also helping verbs. But remember, there are also helping verbs which is belong to regular verbs, which is and are, which do not express an actions, but it helps to our sentence to become meaningful. But these modal verbs that we're going to discuss today, these are helping verbs. Again, used to express as functions such as, again, the ability, the permission, the obligation, the possibility, and necessity. Now class, I'm going to show you, my dear viewers, the different examples and functions of each. Okay, please follow guys. First we have the word will. When you talk about will, means it has functions as promise or prediction. So for example, Tiram, give me an example of the word will. Remember that I have said that will belongs to its function as promised or prediction. So for example, I strongly believe I will pass the test or I will pass the examination today. And that is an example for the modal verb, which is will. Next, second, would. What is the function of would? Wish or request. Teacher, is it wish granted or request granted? Yeah, I have here an example about would. So for example, you're going to treat me, or you would treat me today. Okay, because that will be your salary today. Like that. So you are using the word or the verb or the modal verb, which is would. Okay, so I would like to request my parents to come on stage because I want them to talk like that. So don't forget about that, my dear viewers. Next, can. These are what we call can. When we say can, the function of can is possibility. That means to say you can do it. So for example, one of your teacher giving you a task, then you are going to say, sir or mom, I can do or I can perform my task well yesterday with regards to your given task for me, your assigned task for me rather. And that's can. You can do it, right? And that is a function of modal verbs, which is can. Remember, modal verbs are helping verbs. Without these, our sentence will not be meaningful. Next is the modal verbs may. May means permission. So for example, we hear that permission means asking permission that, so for example, we ask permission to our parents. Mommy, may I go out? Daddy, may I go out? Or it might be like this. Teacher, may I go out? Okay, I want to be phrased like that. That is the function of the modal verb may. Next, might. Might means I might be like that. Polite permission. So for example, I might to talk someone who is responsible for this kind of event. So you are using might. And what kind of might is that? This is a modal verb, a helping verb, right? Polite expressions or polite permissions. So that means to say you are asking. Okay? Not with extra force or with an authority. No. Next, the modal verb class shall. So it's making offers. So for example, one of your classmates, and then you are going to say, okay, I will give you an offers. Shall we go with me? Then I will give you your request. Or shall go out today? Then I have to make my promises with you. That's my dear viewers, that remember, these modal verbs are very helpful one. Why? Because we can create a meaningful sentences with these particular topic modal verbs on how you are going to create sentences from simple sentences to compound sentences or compound complex sentences. And remember, Tara, what is modal verbs? Modal verbs is a set of grammar, right? This is part of the speech, remember. And we should thanks, of course, that through communications, we enhance our skills, we can adapt, and we can choose the most appropriate modal verbs on how we are going to use it once we communicate people to people, once we converse with each other. And next is should or ought to. That means to say, class that should or ought to, the function is obligation or advice. That means to say when you should, Sharam, I should go today or I should wait to something. So you have to obligate yourself that you do something. So for example, your parents might be, you are obligated to go to, so you have to make a promise. That's your obligation, that to do the task well, being assigned to you from your parents. Next, must. This is an obligation also, class. You must attend tomorrow. Attendance is a must. That means to say it's very much important that you have to comment on that particular event or particular day. That is a modal must. Their function is you are going to obligate yourself. That will be your obligations. And the last one, my dear viewers, is the modal verbs, which is had better. That means to say it's an advice. So better, I had better, my mother better advise me to go to the doctor and I will check first my health, whether it is okay or not. So you had better to go or you had better to consult your doctor. And that is a modal verbs, my dear viewers. Isn't that? So very useful. Remember, my dear viewers, if you really understand about how modal verbs work for us, helping us to communicate people, to converse with each other on how we are going to deal with it. Not for our friends, not to others, and of course we ourselves, helping it, how to communicate people to people, will helping with this kind of topic modal verbs. Right, my dear viewers? I have an activity here created. I have created for 10 activity. Okay? Please wait and relax. Okay, so I'm going to write first our what we call the activity class. This is J8 adverbs. This is grade 8 adverbs class. So I have your activity 5 for the last quarter for the month of July. Again, if you are new here to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe it and hit the notification bell icon so that you're updated on our latest video tutorial. So our activity 5, direction, underline. So we should follow the direction class. The modal verb in each sentence. Okay, so remember, underline the modal verbs. Modal verbs is helping verbs, right, class? Excuse me. So we have number 1. Please watch our video until the end of our discussion, my dear viewers, to Ramz Tutorial Educational Channel. Discrimination. This one. the past. So number 2, please follow, guys. Only people realize the negative effects of racism, then no one would feel inferior and discriminated. Oh, so sad. And discriminated. So we have here number 3. We must all unite, okay, in promoting our, oh, this is good, advocacies against racism. So what is first? Okay, wait for a while. Okay, let's go back first to our class. So we're going to answer first 1, 2, 3. So we have here number 1. Racial discriminations will soon be a thing of the past. In our first example or first sentence that we created, racial discriminations will soon be a thing of the past. So remember, class, here in number 1, direction says underline the modal verb. Where is the modal verb in number 1? Or what is the modal verb here? The modal verb is the word what? Okay, very good. Will is our modal verbs. Okay, so remember, will means it's functions as promised or predictions. So you predict that racial discriminations. When we talk about racial discriminations, class, it talks about our race, our races, right? Whether you're Filipino, you're Chinese, Taiwanese, okay, an American, African, or whatsoever, Nigerian, like that. So that is talking about racial discrimination. So, but remember, class, when you encounter this word racial discriminations, it makes us. For me, I felt sad. Why? Because we don't have to have like these racial discriminations. We need to be equal, not equality, right? Because when we talk about racial discriminations, of course we felt sad because we can't deny the fact that we are Filipino, and then when we go to other countries, and then other countries also will be what we call giving us negative opinions regarding our culture, like that. We need to do an extra effort also. And of course, class, we need to have what we call an equality, right? So here in our sentence number 1, we have will is our modal verb. So let's proceed to number 2. If only people realize the negative effects of racism, then no one would feel inferior and discrimination. You know what is inferior, class? The inferiority. So for example, if you're the students, if you feel like this, that means to say it's not good for us that we feel inferior. Inferiority conflicts, what I mean. And then discriminated. And you know what, lady, what is discriminated and inferiority? This is the negative sides, of course, class. So we don't want to exercise, we don't want to inculcate to our mind. But we are having like this inferiority conflict and discriminated towards others, right? Because we need an equality. We need to understand each other. We need to, what you call, give others also chance, right? Here. So in number 2, we have our modal verbs is, if only one people realize the negative effects of racism, then no one would feel inferior and discriminated. So we are going to underline would. Remember that would is, the functions are, it might be request or wish. Oh, here you realize that if only people realize the negative effects of racism, then no one would feel inferior and discriminated. So he is wishing for that no one will be discriminated about our racial or racism. Right, my dear viewers? Next, third, we must all unite in promoting our advocacy. So this is good, my dear viewers. Promoting our advocacies against racism. Why? We don't want to tolerate that other people will discriminate our racial. Talking about racials or races or racism, it talks about the different racials or different racisms in our countries, not only Filipinos, American, Nigerian, African, American, all of that. All we need, class. That's why we use the modal must. It's our obligations that we need to promote advocacies against racials or racism in order to have an equality in our, not only in our society, not only in our government, but all countries. Right, my dear viewers? Hope you understand about discriminations or racial discriminations, because that is our sentences here. That's why I explained to you what are those about, or these particular sentences is all about, are all about rather. Okay, we're going to proceed to 4 and 5. I'm going to erase it, class, because when I write this in the lower part, so of course, my dear viewers, you are my prioritize, of course, to watch our video and to learn a new words and new things again today. So next is number 4. So that's all. Thank, of course, class. I enjoy doing this work, of course, sharing with you my knowledge and, of course, okay, learning new things also, and continue, of course, my channel. Excuse me. So number 4 is keep your eyes in our whiteboard, class. So teacher will write number 4. This is our number 4 sentence, class. You can copy, of course, if you want. No one is born hating. I love explanations. It's born hating other people. Wow, this is very, what we call hating other people. In the end, it's a good topic. In the end, then love shall prevail. Wow, my dear viewers, very good sentence. I am going to explain it to you before we are going to identify the modal verbs, class. So, very good. I like this sentence. So touching, right? Touching and interesting, right? Our campaign. So this is very good sentence. Against happen. All and this names the outcomes of discriminations. Discriminations. Okay, let us proceed to number 4 and number 5. Excuse me for a while, class. Okay, so remember, major viewers, let's continue to number 4 and number 5 class. Say, that's why I discussed it to you thoroughly, the modal verbs, and I choose sentences also, which are very interesting topic or very interesting sentence. So now let's have first here. Okay, number 4. No one is born hating other people. In the end, love shall prevail. So in this sentence class, before we underline the modal verbs, remember modal verbs are helping verb, that no one is born hating other people. So that means to say, class, if you are born in this world, so don't hate others or don't be stubborn, something like that. So that means to say, once we are born here in this what we call particular world, that means to say, class, this word hating is not what we call otherwise first, but in the end, the love shall prevail. If, so for example, you hate your classmates, but if you really love your classmates, this particular event, something that may happen, that's why you hate them or hit him. But of course, we need to prevail the love. Love shall prevail. So in this sentence, the modal verb is the word shall. Remember, when we use shall, that means to say making offers, okay, towards others, that we need to. Something here that he offers that love shall prevail, and then no one is born hating in this way. Alright, my dear viewers? Next. Okay, number 5. Will you join our campaign against all forms of discriminations? So we know that the word discriminations class, we don't want to tolerate this. Because why? When you hear the word discriminations, we don't want to discriminate others. We don't want to discriminate also our what we call fellows. We need them, or we need us, or we should have what we call prevail love, understanding, patience towards fellows or towards others. Okay? So that's why, will you join our campaign against all forms of discriminations? So the modal verbs is will. So I like this sentence because their purpose is joining the campaign against all forms of discrimination. That means to say they are against them. So they need to what we call to prove others that the word discriminations is not applicable, and we will not tolerate also that is happening or happening to others. We need to promote, especially to the young minds of the youth, that this word discrimination will be vanished, or we need to erase that. All we need to inculcate to the young minds of the students, to the young youth, or the new generations, the word love, patience, understanding, and of course, their dedications and passions to their work. These are the words that we need to inculcate every mind, the youth, every minds or every young minds. We need to mold them in order to become a responsible individual or responsible citizen. So this particular modal verbs class helping us how to understand, comprehend each sentence. Because without the modal verbs, our sentence, our sentences might not what we call meaningful one, and it can't be understandable for us, you readers, and of course, me as a pedagogue or sensei, it's difficult for us or for me to explain it to you when something or see something that words is missing. Say for example, the modal verbs. That's why we need to discuss it and discuss it thoroughly and of course share with you my guys. Hope you really understand our discussion today about modal verbs. What are the functions and different examples of each. Now if you are new here to my channel, Ramz Tutorial Educational Channel, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and subscribe it to Ramz Tutorial Educational Channel. Don't, okay? See you on my next video. Bye!